In this video, I'm going to discuss about the features of object-oriented programming. Before this, let me discuss what is languages and different types of languages. Languages are used to create our software programs. We have two types of languages. One is low-level languages, another one is high-level languages. What are the examples of low-level languages? What is its disadvantage and advantage? Okay, machine code and assembly language codes are low-level languages. Okay, the advantage and disadvantage is it is not easy to understand the low-level languaging code. In machine language, instructions are written in terms of zeros and ones, which is not easy to understand. That is the major disadvantage. Advantage is no need to compile this code. The code will be executed as such. Okay, and then it occupies less amount of memory. In case of high level languages, examples for high level languages are Pascal, C, Python, C++ and Java are examples of high level languages. Advantages of high level languages are it is easy to understand. Okay, so easy to understand. Codes written in high level languages are easy to understand by the user. And then disadvantages, we need to compile this into corresponding machine code for execution. We have two types of high level languages, that is two categories of high level languages. One is structured language, other one is object oriented programming languages. Okay, among the list, Pascal and C is structured language, C++ and Java is object oriented programming language, Python is both structured and object oriented programming language. Object oriented programming languages are based on objects, wherein the structured programming languages are based on function. That is the major difference between structured languages and object oriented programming languages. Features of object oriented programming. First one is object. Objects are real world entities, are represented or modeled as objects in object oriented programming. So object have state and behavior. Okay, so what your state represent? State represents its properties, and then your behavior is going to represent the functionalities. Okay, so behavior is going to represent functionality, state is going to represent its properties. Object has state and behavior. Objects are otherwise called user defined data types. Objects are otherwise called user defined data types. Okay, and then we will see an example for this objects. Real world entities are originally modeled as object. Okay, first example is, for example, take this object mobile. Okay, so what are all its state and behavior? Okay, state is mobile phone has properties like model, color and price. These are all the properties or state of my object, that is mobile. Behavior is using mobile, what are the tasks we can able to do, what are the functionality we can able to perform. Okay, that is we can able to call using mobile phone, we can able to message using mobile phone, we can able to read and write using this mobile phone. These are all the different functionalities of mobile phone. Okay. Next object is, consider this bank account. So what are all its state and behavior? Okay, state is nothing but every bank account will have an account number Okay, and then account type, whether it is current account or saving account, and then balance amount in my account. These are all the different properties of my bank account. Okay, for example, if we consider the behavior, that is functionalities, using bank account we can able to credit amount, and then we can debit amount. We can able to process our loan using this bank account. So we have discussed two examples for this object, and we have discussed what all its properties and functionalities. So next one is class. Class is basically a template, or it is a blueprint. Okay, so class is basically a template or blueprint of an object. Okay, so the relationship between object and class. Okay, class don't have any life. Okay, it comes into existence when you are creating object of the class. Okay, so classes can be realized as object. Okay, the relationship between object and classes: objects are instance of class. When we create objects of the classes, class comes into existence. So objects are instances of class. Okay, that is the relationship between object and class. Okay, the difference between object and class is object is going to occupy some amount of memory, wherein class will not occupy any memory. That is the basic difference between object and classes. Okay, and then classes, there is a relationship between object and classes. Class comes into existence when we are creating objects of the class. Okay, and then class contains data members and methods. Methods are nothing but functions. Class contains data members and methods. If I want to define a class, class definition starts with the keyword class following the name of the class. For example, if mobile is name for my class, it is mobile. Okay, and then within this curly brace we can write definition for data members, which is its property, and methods of this class. Okay, and then definition for methods and data members are combined inside my class. Okay, so class definition starts with the keyword class, following that name of the class. Data members and methods are combined together inside this curly brace. Inheritance. Inheritance is the process of creating new class from the existing class. From existing class, if I am creating new class, then the process is called inheritance. Generally speaking, genetically we inherit the properties of our parent, and additionally we have our own property. Okay, that is general example for inheritance. Okay, from the existing class, if we are creating new class, that new class is called child class, and then the existing class is called parent class. Okay, so child class can able to access all the code defined inside my parent class. Data members and method defined in the parent class can be accessed by child class. Vice versa is not possible. Parent class cannot able to access the data members and methods defined inside the child class. Okay, so the parent class can otherwise be called base class, and then the child class is my derived class. Okay, the base class can also otherwise be called super class, and then the child class is my subclass. Okay, inheritance is supported by Java in terms of single inheritance and multi-level inheritance. Okay, Java does not support multiple inheritance. Okay, Java does not support multiple inheritance. Java supports single and multi-level inheritance. Okay, then what is the advantage of inheritance? Okay, since the newly created class can able to access all the codes, that is data members and methods defined inside the existing class. Okay, in new class there is no necessity to rewrite the coding again. Okay, so it supports the property of reusability. So inheritance supports the concept of reusability. New class, that is child class, can able to access all the codes defined inside the parent class. No need to rewrite the code again in new class. So it supports the property of reusability. That is a major advantage of using inheritance. We have different types of inheritance. Single inheritance, we have a parent class and then a child class. In case of multiple inheritance, we have more than one parent class which creates an child class. Okay, so this is not supported by Java. C++ supports this multiple inheritance. And then multi-level inheritance. For a child class, if it has more than one parent class at the different level. Okay, these are all the different types of inheritance. For example, you take this example when we define a class called vehicle. Okay, so this class contains different properties like model, price, color. These are all the properties. Okay, and then it is used to, these are all the functionalities, drive. Okay, using this parent class, if I am creating two child class, one is car, another one is bike. Okay, so by inheritance property, car can able to access the data members of vehicle and the methods of vehicle. Like the same, bike is also child class of vehicle which can able to access all the data members and methods defined inside this vehicle. Additionally, if car defines a property called number of windows, it is applicable only to this car. Additionally to this state and behavior, bike can have the side stand. This is the additional property which is defined for this child class bike. This is the additional property which is defined for this class car. Okay, so from this parent class vehicle, I am going to derive two child class bike and car. Okay, this is example for inheritance. In general, polymorphism means taking more than one form. More than one form. Okay. And also we may say if one task is implemented in different ways, then also it is polymorphism. For example, if I ask you to draw a shape, this is the task given to different people. Okay, so different people may implement this task in different ways. Okay, someone may draw a circle, someone may draw a triangle, someone may draw a line. Okay, other one may draw a polygon. Okay, the same task is implemented by different peoples in different way. That is called polymorphism. For example, if I take an operation, for example, take this operation plus. This operation may be implemented in different instance by different way. For example, if I add 10 and 15, this operation plus is going to take two operand 10 and 15, which is integer values. Then it will print the result 25. Okay. If I perform the same addition operation with two operand, which is a string value, for example, if one string value is hello, other one is world, okay, instead of adding, it combines both the string value together. Output will be hello world. Okay, the same addition operation, when it takes different operand, it behaves differently. That type of task is called polymorphism. Okay, so for example, how polymorphism is implemented in object-oriented programming. Okay, it is implemented by a process called method overloading and method overriding. By this, your polymorphism is implemented in object-oriented programming. For example, you take this method, that is add int I comma int j, okay, and then add float I comma float j. When this method is called by passing this parameter add 1 comma 2, this method will be invoked. If I call this same function add by passing this parameter 11.7 into 12.0, this method will get invoked. Okay, the same method which is implemented in different ways when the parameter passed is different data types. Okay, so this is process of method overloading. In object-oriented programming, polymorphism is implemented by method overloading and method overriding. Next one is abstraction. Abstraction is the process of hiding what? Hiding the internal details or internal implementation and exposing only its functionality. It exposes only its functionality. It completely hides the internal implementation detail. Okay, in general, if we discuss, if I want to access our email page, what are the things we should know? We need a browser. Okay, if we give our user ID and password, our web page which contains our emails will get displayed. Email page will get displayed. That is the thing we know. Okay, that is we know the functionality. We want to access our email page. What are the inputs? Inputs are user ID and password. What is my output? It is my page which contains my email detail. Okay, the internal details, that is user ID and password, is given through internet to our web server. Web server will authenticate the user. After authentication, it displays this output. Okay, this implementation detail is completely hidden. User may not be knowing how it forwards the request. Only we may be knowing the functionality and our inputs, what will be my output. Okay, so abstraction is the process of hiding the internal implementation detail, only exposing its functionality. Okay, if we consider how this abstraction is implemented in object-oriented programming, we'll discuss an example. Okay, so in abstraction, if we have a class definition contains data members and methods. User knows only the method functionality of the method, and inputs given to the method, what is the expected output. User may be knowing only about this method, what is the functionality it is going to do, what is input and output. Okay, this implementation details of the methods are completely hidden from the user. Okay, by this way, abstraction is implemented in object-oriented programming. Next one is encapsulation. Encapsulation is the process of binding or combining together data and code. How this is implemented in object-oriented programming? In object-oriented programming, class combines together its data member and methods. Okay, so it combines together the data members and method. By this way, it implements encapsulation. If we implement like this, okay, how it also provides some hiding. Okay, what is the what it hides? It hides the data members from the user. The data members can be accessed through its methods. Okay, so the methods are accessed only through the objects of the classes. Okay, data members cannot be directly accessed. Data members can be accessed through the methods, okay, by the objects of the class. So it provides some hiding from the user. Next one is message passing. We have set of objects. Objects can communicate with each other by way of passing messages. Okay, communication is possible only between objects. Objects communicate with each other by way of passing messages. Let me summarize features of object-oriented programming. Okay, the features are, first one is object. The real world entities are modeled as object. Object has state and behavior. State is its property. Behavior is functionality implemented by this object. Object is originally user-defined data type. Object will not occupy any amount of, object will occupy some amount of memory when it is created. Okay. So next one is class. Class is basically a template or blueprint of object. Class comes into existence when object of class is created. Relationship between object and classes. Objects are instance of the classes. When we create instance of the class object, then only class comes into existence. Class contains data members and methods. It combines together data members and methods. Third one is inheritance. The process of creating a new class from the existing class is called inheritance. The existing class is called parent class, base class or a super class. The child class is called child class, derived class or a subclass. Okay, how inheritance is implemented in object-oriented programming in terms of single inheritance, multiple inheritance and multi-level inheritance. Among the three, multiple inheritance is not supported by Java. Okay. And then fourth one is polymorphism. Polymorphism is implementing the task in different ways. It is one form of different way of one forms. Okay, how the polymorphism is implemented in Java? Polymorphism is implemented in Java in terms of method overloading and method overriding. We can have different signature for same method. Based on the parameters which we are passing, different methods will be invoked. Okay, and then next one is abstraction. Abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation detail and exposing only its functionality. Okay. In Java, how abstraction is provided, it exposes only the functionality of the method. We will be knowing only the functionality implemented by the method, what could be our input, what type of output we are expecting. The implementation detail is completely hidden. Okay. So next one is encapsulation. Encapsulation is the process of combining data and code together. In object-oriented programming, encapsulation is provided in terms of classes. Classes combines together data members and methods. Okay, the data members cannot be directly accessed. It can be accessed only through the methods defined inside the class. Methods can be accessed only by the object of the particular class. Okay, so we have summarized what all the features of object-oriented programming. And then last one is message passing. In message passing, different objects may communicate with each other by way of passing messages. Okay, so these were all the features of object-oriented programming.